Here we take a look at stories that are making headlines from the international scene and most probably business reports and business stories. A lot has been happening across the world, and it being the Holy Week, I would say, for most probably the Christian community, is that this week, starting Thursday, if you're to remember back from the Roman, let's say from the Roman Catholics, and then taking you back to the time of the execution of Jesus Christ, that will be Holy Thursday. And Holy Thursday is just entailed to be commemorating the last time, or the Last Supper, or yes, exactly, the Last Supper that Jesus Christ did have with most of, with the particular disciples that he did have. Well, and apparently, speaking as a matter of fact, is that when you look at what is as well coming in, is revealing to you that this week is more of a holy week for the Christian community. It is still a holy month. Mere fact that Ramadan is still ongoing as well for the Muslim community. Now, during the weekend will be Easter. How you will celebrate it depends on you and your family at the moment. But how ready are you for such a season or for such situations? All right, now let's try to take a look at what is coming in from the SMB across borders, where we start off with what is coming in from Kenya, as the gamblers are set to pay Kenya Revenue Authority 20% stake before any betting whatsoever. Now, gamblers will pay a fifth of 20% of the cash they have set aside in their wallets for betting in a proposed tax which is aimed at curbing the practice that has become a near-national, that has actually become a near-national pastime. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukuru Yatani has proposed to heavily tax punters by raising the excise duty on cash that is waged on betting, gaming, as well as prize competition and buying a lottery ticket from the current 7.5%. And if approved by members of parliament, betting firms will be required to withhold and forward 200 Kenyan shilling of every 1,000 shillings that is waged, regardless of whether the punter wins or loses. So remember, with the betting, it's just like you win or you lose. So you take in your stake, you either lose it. You either win money or you either lose the money. And the higher tax is part of proposed changes to the Excise Duty Act through the Finance Bill 2022 that targets to raise 50.4 billion shillings in new taxes to help fund 3.31 billion Ugandan shillings. That is, according to, rather, it is targeting to raise 50.4 billion Kenyan shillings in new taxes to help fund 3.31 trillion Kenyan shilling budget for the year ahead of the August elections. Remember, Kenya will be making elections, the polls ahead of us in August 2022. Gamblers also pay 20% tax on winnings that betting firms are required to withhold and remit to the taxman. This means that if one wins 10,000 Kenyan shillings, he or she will receive 8,000 Kenyan shillings, as the Kenya Revenue Authority takes 2,000 Kenyan shillings. All right, now, it seems the Kenya Revenue Authority is not even taking 10% of tithe. It is rather taking a double of it, taking 20% of that particular betting. So is it a way of curbing betting situationships or trying to get more taxes from the Kenyans? Let's talk the African aviation sector, as African Airlines records improved performance when you look at the general airlines on the continent. As the African Airlines improved performance in February 2021, with cargo volumes growing by 4.6%, and the passenger traffic up by 69.5%. The International Air Transport Association says its data for February 2022 does reveal these details. Now, the performance increased 8.2% in capacity deployed, well above the 2.9% global average. The airlines tapped into a rapid rebound in manufacturing, and this was spurred by the progressive relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions. Then there was a global capacity which was up by 12.5% of 2021, although capacity was 5.6% below February 2019 levels. And now what the International Air Transport Association, that is the IATA, says while consumer price inflation in the G7 economies rose by 6.3% during the period under review, the likely impact on purchasing power was dampened by higher savings that were accumulated by consumers during the pandemic lockdowns. However, the industry still faces uncertainty from China's zero COVID policy that has disrupted the supply chain as a result of flight cancellation and labor shortages. Russia's invasion of Ukraine had limited effect on February's performance because it came towards the end of the month, as IATA expects the ripple effects of the conflict and the related sanctions to become more discernible from March. African passenger traffic rose by 69.5% relative to February 2021 to 34.7% growth in capacity. The load factor also increased 12.9 percentage points to 63%. Now, there is also a contribution which is, despite the improvement, combined domestic, regional and long-haul passenger traffic to, from and within Africa at the end of February 2022 was 52% lower than that of February 2019 levels. So you can quickly pick it up from there. I think 2019 is when the Uganda Airlines was as well revamped. So when you're throwing back all these details and clearly saying that, well, as the Kenyan Airways was struggling during the pandemic, there was even expectations that it would first of all bow out of business. But however, it has been able to make mergers together with the South African Airways, and they've been able to stay afloat in the business. And regardless of the fact that most of the African airlines are not making those profits, not mentioning of the Ethiopian Airways, which is performing greatly, quite ably, but a number of the other airlines are not performing that much, but they are still able to sustain the market space. Let's talk social media. Twitter, a few weeks back, Twitter got the news, the Twitter users got the news that Elon Musk is now a new stakeholder, having more shares after acquiring 9.2%. Now, what is coming on board and the details from Twitter show that the Tesla CEO Elon Musk will not join the Twitter's board. He has been making some of the tweets lately. There was a time where he was actually asking for, he actually made a tweet where he was actually taking a cigar with a picture attached to it. But he has actually been trending among the key topics on Twitter there. Now, the Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who recently bought a large stake in Twitter, has decided not to join the social media company's board. The Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal tweeted the news on Sunday night. As the Twitter spokesperson confirmed, Musk decided not to join the Twitter board and referred to Agrawal's statement. The development comes up about a week after Twitter said in a regulatory filing that it plans to appoint the Tesla and SpaceX CEO to its board for a term that will end in 2024. Musk recently disclosed he had purchased a more than 9% stake in Twitter, making him the company's largest shareholder. As part of the deal for Musk to join the board, the Tesla CEO had agreed not to acquire more than 14.9% of the company's shares while he remained on board. Tesla's stock surged after his initial purchase was disclosed. When the news of his board appointment broke, Musk tweeted he was looking forward to working with Parag and Twitter board to make significant improvements to Twitter in the upcoming months. It's not entirely clear that improvements that Musk had in mind. In recent weeks, Musk had suggested on Twitter that the platform does not allow free enough speech and said it should make its algorithm open source. He also polled his followers last week whether they want an edit button, a long-time feature request, if a divisive one from many Twitter users. Musk has not tweeted about his decision to either join or rule out on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Smart24TV for more of the details. We do have a topic that is actually in there, so you can give us your views on matters regarding that very topic as well. Well, Let's head to China. We head to Asia as still with the SMB across borders. Now our eyes turn to China as the soaring factory inflation could exacerbate rising prices worldwide. Remember, China officials of the concerned stakeholders in Tanzania. Connectivity with other models of transport in other stations will be improved, and then feeder bus network information, which includes route maps, bus stops, frequency, as well as operating time and fares will be incorporated. Another expected output of the project is improved access to BRT stations safely, comfortably, and efficiently. for the people of Tanzania. So when you look at what is coming in from there is that they want to decongest Dar es Salaam, and how possible can it be that is to create a city that is friendly, and as well as trying to relocate some of the people who are congested in most of the busy parts of the city, to create more room for, you know, when it comes to urbanization in a nation that is urbanizing, or a nation that is actually developing highly, is that you have to expect decongestion. You have to expect congestion rather in these different areas. So when you look at Dar es Salaam, very, very phenomenal capital in there of DRC, with the mere fact that it handles a number of imports and exports, not only for Tanzania, but also for countries like Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi, who are landlocked at the time. So, which shows you how much the need to decongest the city of Dar es Salaam is very vital. The mere fact that Tanzania is already in the middle income status as a country or as an economy, these are some of the key things that the government of Uganda can also as well looking at the fact that our policymakers here, let's say people who actually do with the city council and all lots of that, is that we can look at these opportunities as a way, as a possibility for us to also utilize them and go get onto these particular, tap onto the available programs, tap there and get more out of it. I'm Joran Paul Sonko, and this is Smart Means Business. We do take a break. I will return with business quotes, business tips, and also more SMB reports. Stick around.